Welcome, Keller ISD teachers. We are so excited to be here with you this afternoon for our very first 25-26 Kickstart Your Learning. And we have a special treat in store for you today. We have got a special guest from Class Dojo who's going to highlight all the wonderful aspects of Class Dojo for us today. So thank you so much for being with us. In case you weren't aware, this is going out live, but will automatically go to our YouTube playlist for Kickstart Your Learning. So you can watch this learning anytime. If for some reason your Wi-Fi goes down like ours did at KCAL right now today, just before we went live. So we're sorry if we're just a minute or two late. We're very excited to have you with us. I've learned recently that Class Dojo is a great tool with so many things in it that I didn't even know it had. So I'm very excited for our Class Dojo rep to share it with you today. Prior to starting today, this is called a YouTube Live if you've never joined us for one of these. And the way that we know that you're here is the chat that should be on the right-hand side of your screen. If you don't see a chat, we need to do just a few steps, just a few housekeeping steps for your chat to show so that you can participate with us. I'm going to go over those steps right now. So on your YouTube page in the top right corner, you should have a circle icon. Normally it would have your profile image in it, or maybe just your initials. But for some reason in our YouTube instance, the picture is usually just grayed out. So look for that profile icon and you're going to click Create a Channel. The next screen you'll come to will simply have the choices cancel or create a channel. And so go ahead and click Create Channel again. And finally, you might have to return to www.kellerist.net/kickstart. So it's 3 simple steps. Create a channel from your profile, create channel again, and then you might need to return to www.kellerisd.net. All right, today I would like to introduce who's here with us. So I'm going to ask them quickly to come off their mute and just say hello to you. But first we have Brianna Casas from Class Dojo, and she's going to be doing our training today.
Hello.
And next we have my 2 team members, Ashley Duffy from Educational Technology.
Hello. Hi.
And Sandy Fant, who's joining us from her phone because of our Wi-Fi issue. So she may not be able to come off mute, but she's here as well.
Hello.
Great job, Sandy. We're navigating through it even though. And so Brianna, I'm going to let you take it away and tell us everything you know about Class Dojo.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So let me go ahead and share and we could definitely get started. Hello, everybody. So as mentioned, my name is Brianna Casas and I'm here with Class Dojo. So welcome to the intro to Class Dojo. And we're also going to go over, points or how it relates to PBIS. So just a little bit of background about me. I do have teaching experience along with a little bit of admin when I was a community school coordinator. So I do know Class Dojo from the teaching and the admin side. Just a little fun fact. And another fun fact, when I was a teacher, I used this mainly for communication, and I really wish I used it for points because now that I'm very properly trained, I could have used it definitely from my classroom, but let's go ahead and get started. No need to input in any chat, but you could definitely reflect right now. A fist to 5. So how do you feel at this moment with Class Dojo? From 5 being a dojo expert, let me lead that training, or from a 1, this is a first time user, I'm lost, what is Class Dojo? So definitely see how you feel, and hopefully at the end of the training, it does go a little bit up. But let's go ahead and get to it. So with Class Dojo, this training typically lasts around 45 minutes. It may be less or a little longer, depending on how much we got to share. So the things that you will take away today is we are going to learn how to, engage your students using those points, communicate effectively, keeping families informed, using reports as well, because that really ties with the points being used. And of course, supporting positive behavior across like the classroom and school-wide. And I did want to mention that a little heads up, I will be going back and forth from Class Dojo to the slides. So hopefully I don't get you all dizzy, but let's go ahead and already go into Class Dojo. So the first thing is getting connected. So one different thing about your district is your district is actually a part of like the pilot phase when it comes to automatic rostering. So this is very new for us this year. So how this works is you no longer have to create new classes or even add your students into your directory. That's all going to be done automatically. So as a teacher, you could just come in, rename your class if needed, because we're syncing with your SIS, and it might name it a little something funky. You could rename it, see your students, and if needed, also rename your students in case they go by a nickname or just a preferred name. Another thing you could still do that is, not a huge difference is inviting those families in. So with different districts, some decided to invite families, some decided to do it on their own or automatically. And I believe with this district, you're going to go ahead and take the lead in inviting your families. But let's just go ahead and discuss some of these dates when this happened. So the first sync happened on July 31st, and that was when all students were added, as well as all the classes were created. August 5th, if you were a participating school for automated rostering, teachers may have received an invitation to join your school if you weren't in Class Dojo already. And on August 11th, what happened then is students were added into the classes automatically. Hopefully it was a smooth rollout, but please always let us know about your feedback. So just a little preview. This is how the invitation looked if you did receive one, just inviting you into your school. And again, since Class Dojo did sync with your SIS, you may have gotten many classes that you are probably not going to use. So one thing that you could still do is archive those classes, remove them. So if you have 10 classes, but only teach one, definitely, get rid of those 9. How to do that is pretty easy. You just have to click on these gear icons, and then you could archive those classes. And of course, choose the one that you want to focus on and rename it if needed. But yeah, so hopefully that wasn't the situation, but it may be. Okay, so back to Class Dojo. So hopefully you are logged in if you wanted to follow along, or you could look at this later to follow along later too. But here is Class Dojo. You will notice your school name above here. If you happen to work in multiple schools, you are easily able to go from one school to the next if needed. And let's say you're not connected to that new school yet, you could always click on Add a School and type that information and, find that school that you're a part of too. So as you can see here, I'm a part of 3, but we are going to focus on Mojo Academy of Awesomeness, our mock school. So once you're in here, you're going to see all the classes that you're connected to. It may be one, it may be multiple. But you will see the name of your classroom and even how many students and parent connections you have in each. As you can see, I have so many with 0 parents because, well, it's a demo class. But yeah, in case you are a teacher that also has co-teachers, pretty easy to go ahead and invite them. If you create your own class, you'll get a lot of pop-ups like guiding you of what to do next, inviting co-teachers, adding students, inviting families. But since these have been created for you, go ahead and click on that classroom that you're working on. So I'm just going to click on this classroom. I have so many. So hopefully your students are already in your classroom, but let's just go ahead and talk about how we're going to answer those co-teachers. Co-teachers could pretty much do what you can do in the classroom. They could give points, post on the class story, which I'll go over soon, calendar events, chat with the parents who are connected to this classroom. So to invite them, a quick way to get to this menu is just simply clicking on Invite Families. Right there, you'll be able to see these different settings, families, students, and teachers. And let's go ahead and click on that Teachers tab. Under here is where you could go ahead and start typing the name of the teacher if needed, insert their email, or simply click on Invite here. It's going to give you the list of all the teachers in your school. From there, there you go. You have some co-teachers. Just to let you know, people with school leader accounts, such as admin, are able to join your classroom automatically because of that school leader, admin type role. So if you have somebody that was there as a co-teacher, but you didn't invite, that's probably why. All right. So back to the classroom. Another thing you could do is connect your families. Since we didn't send those automated invitations, I highly recommend you invite those families so that they could be aware of what you are posting, about their kids and about their classroom. So again, that's that button right here where it says invite families. Go ahead and click there, and this is a way you can invite those families. Insert their email, their phone number, or if you're having a family night anytime soon, go ahead and click on get individual printouts. This is going to go ahead and allow you to print, printouts to get them inside of your classroom. And you could even focus on the unconnected families only, or just print the all families. But either way, whenever you do click here, it's going to allow you to view the printout. And this is how it's going to look. It's going to show you the family name and their unique QR code or type code or text code if they don't have a device with a camera. So you could definitely have these out for your, parent gathering and have them scan and sign up. If your parents were already invited before joining your classroom, luckily it only takes one connection. So whether they were invited in your classroom or through the directory by admin, they'll be connected to their child and follow them wherever they go. So that's how you could go ahead and start inviting families. Now, with your students, let me go back to the classroom so you could see here. Students are also able to join in their own accounts too, and there's different reasons why. Students could log in to either view the class story to see where you're posting. They could see this, in the school setting, or they could see this, at home. Or they could also join Dojo Islands, which we will get into soon. It's already officially spooky season. I'm excited for that. And if being utilized, you could also, or they could also access their portfolios and submit assignments. And again, I'm going to go over pretty soon. But that's the reason why you would want those students to be connected. So when you are connecting these student accounts, there's 3 different methods to get them connected. Let's say they're all in your classroom and you're displaying Class Dojo in like a smart screen. You could go ahead and, again, this button, the golden menu, click on Invite Families, but instead click on the Students tab. Right here, where you see Classroom Login, you'll see different types of methods to invite them, either them scanning a QR code if they have a device with a camera, or entering a text code too. Just to let you know, the QR code here, if being used, you could print this out, paste it around your classroom, and use it the full year. And you could also do it in a different language. Or if they don't have devices with cameras, click on the text code, but just know that this will expire. So it's going to tell you when, and this one is only going to last 3 hours. So that code will change and they will have to type it in when trying to sign in again. And if they have Google accounts, they could definitely sign in with Google, but especially for elementary, I do recommend the QR code or the text code. Might be the easiest. All right, so that's how you go ahead and get logged into, or your students logged into their accounts. If you happen to see your students as eggs still, this is a new update. Go ahead and click on them and hatch that egg in case they haven't logged into their account or something's happening and for some reason their egg isn't hatching. So there's a direct way to do this so that they could go from the egg to their monster, and then they could definitely customize their monster too. Back to the classroom, and I'm actually going to jump into another class that has been used. So let's go back to these slides here and then talk about our Class Dojo classroom. There's so much involved in Class Dojo. First thing we're going to focus on are the points. So with your classroom, you have the ability to create classroom points. And luckily, they're completely customizable. They're, it's your class, your points, your way. Whatever, works best for your students. It changes every year when you get new students. So definitely keep customizing those skills. But let me go ahead and show you how to do that. Of course, with alignment of PBS, you may want to just keep it positive since it's, positive behavior incentives. But all you would have to do is you could either click on whole class or an individual student, and another way, but it's a little longer. It's options edit class, but let's not do that. Let's just click on whole class here. From here, you will see some, I believe it's like 6 to 7 skills that already come with your classroom. You could definitely keep those if it's, perfect. Those are the skills you want to use. Or let's say you're not happy with the skills that were added. You could easily just click on Add Skills here. And this is where you could go ahead and edit, customize, or even remove a skill completely. So let's go ahead and focus on, let's just go to a random one. This one, effort. Well, not effort. Sorry, that's school-wide. This one, helping others. If you see points that say school-wide in the bottom, these you're not able to customize, that would be admin. And again, I'll get into that. So these that do not have school-wide in the bottom, these were created by you if you already created them. But click on that pencil where it says edit. You could change the emoji that's available. And at the moment, these are the only ones you could use. And change that emoji if needed. Change the name if this is something you're not happy with. And even adjust that point weight. You could go from 0 using neutral skills, or you could go all the way up to 5. And another thing you could do is, which I'm pretty sure it's not going to be used, but there are needs work points too. You could definitely use needs work so that you could insert, neutral points if needed to keep tracking with data. But of course, if you do take away points, it will, remove those points. But yeah, so one great thing you could do too is when you scroll all the way to the bottom of your points, you're going to see these settings. What type of points are your families going to see? All points, which will show positive, needs work if being used, and all those neutrals. Positive points only, so any of the points here that are under the positive category, even these neutrals. Or no points at all. Maybe this is just for you and your classroom management and nobody else. You could choose that setting as well. But that's how you go ahead and create those points. If you want to add a brand new point, just click on Add Skill, and from here you could go ahead and create them. Pretty simple. So I do not think I'm sharing my sound, but let me go ahead and show you the points that you could give. So when you click on whole class, and let's just give +5 to everybody, it's going to go ahead and give everybody in this classroom, +5. Another way to give these points is individually. Maybe you're only clicking on one student and they were the only ones who were, let's say, counting. This is a pre-K class, just a heads up. Then only Abraham right here is getting those points. Another way to give these points is going below where it says select multiple. Click there, click those multiple students who may have been doing the same thing. And from there, you will click on give feedback and give them the point that they've earned. So let's go to listening ears. And those 5 students received that point. Another thing you could do is when you're giving these points, you could leave a note right after. So I just left points for 5 students. So this note is going to each of the 5 family or students' families. And I could say this group, or whatever you may want to type in, this group did amazing listening, we'll just say. And then you could click on send. So that same note went out to everybody. So just be cautious of adding names if that's something you do not want to share. If it's just to one student, let's pick on Abraham again. Let's give him a point. You could definitely say, give him that point, a present, add a note. Abraham was here today. And then thank you. And then from there, again, that family member is going to see that note. So when it comes to these points, I want to go over these again. Neutral and positive. So neutrals are really good for that data tracking. Maybe it's something that you don't want to give them a point for because maybe it's something that they're learning or struggling with. And maybe it's something that you just want to keep track of. So maybe a parent asks you, how often is my child eating their snack or breakfast? That was a question I always got as a pre-K teacher. I would always forget at the end of the day. So this is where I come back and say, I wish I used points. But you could give them that point, leave them that note, and then from there, the parents are able to see what you've left, and you could always go back to your reports to see when you gave that point. All right. Another thing you could do here with points is creating groups. We recommend this for maybe different table groups or centers, but you could go ahead and click there, award the group, and then give them all points that they've earned as a group. So this is creating groups is mainly to give points to that specific group of students. Okay, So there's so much to points, and yeah, highly recommend you use them in the classroom. So here are just some next day mojo moves, some ideas that you could use for your classroom. You could definitely use these, frame them in a positive way as well. And yeah, just get excited to use them for your classroom too. If you use needs work, you could definitely use those neutral points so that students will not get points removed. And again, you could frame this in a positive tone as well. And, it'll just help them to, yeah, go forward with, growing their skills that they need to work on, stepping stones for growth, as we say. So with these points that you are giving, you are able to redeem the classroom points in your classroom. So this is up to you what sort of incentive you would have in the classroom. Maybe it's a treasure box. Maybe it is a specific classroom incentive that you do, a job. Whatever it may be, you could definitely redeem these points as well. So back to the classroom. Let's go ahead and pick on Abraham. He has the most. We'll click on him and then just simply click on redeem points. I will take away or redeem. I'm not sure. Okay, redeem 10 points. And I'm just going to say this was for the treasure box with an X. And then when you click on redeem points, so you can see here, it did remove those 10 points. And now Abraham has 8 class points only. These school-wide ones, you cannot redeem these. These are only redeemable by admin, and that's if your school is using school-wide points. Just want to clarify that really quick. Now, oh, another thing, sorry. Other than redeeming those points, you could also reset them. Maybe you reset them daily, weekly, monthly, however it may be. Click on options, and then from there, you click on reset class points. You could choose specific students, or you could reset all the class points in there. You could start fresh for that week or day, however you may be doing it. I like to see the green bubbles, so I'm going to go ahead and give everybody 5 points again. Okay, so here is your turn to shine or even just reflect. If you've used Class Dojo before, what has been your most effective and creative way to use these Class Dojo points in your classroom? You could definitely drop your ideas in the chat or just simply reflect, how have I used them before? Or if you're brand new, how could you use them in Class Dojo? What are some skills that you're going to create for your specific classroom? Just go ahead and get that, brain going and brainstorming. Now, we have so many more tools in the classroom, aside from points. So we just went over points 101. And now we're going to quickly go over the tools that you have below here in this menu. The first thing is the toolkit. So we're just going to go over a couple, but this is really great to use in the classroom. When you click on Toolkit, you will see this pop-up of the different tools you could utilize. Let's go click on the first one is that I want to show is the random selector. So getting rid of those popsicle sticks, click on random, and it's going to choose a random student for you. Really good for asking questions, maybe choosing classroom jobs if that's the case. Again, anything you need to randomly select a student, go ahead and do it here. Another tool that I really love is the group maker. So let's say you just need a group of 4 and you need it done like this. You could go ahead and just click that number and then bam, it creates that group for you and you can put them in their, centers or areas that they're working towards. Or another thing you could do here is in the group maker, you could click on who you should not group together. We have students who maybe just don't get along, or when they're in the group, it's just they're always distracted. So you could choose those students that you do not want to be in the group. I'm going to choose these top 4. And then when you click on done, you could go back to choose that number. And then as you can see here, these top 4 were not, put in that same group. So again, another great way to easily create groups and separate those students who may not be productive within that group. And the other toolkits, I definitely, I highly recommend you explore them just to see what might work best for your classroom. Just to let you know, today, directions and think, pair, share are ones that you could definitely display on your smartboard. Okay. Now, the next thing is the student and data. Student reports and data. So again, I kept mentioning data tracking. And that's because you're going to find all the points that you gave, all the notes that you gave to under these reports. And let me just go by this really quick. You could also take attendance too if needed. Attendance is pretty helpful to, mark them absent so that if you give a whole class, a point, those who are absent are not going to receive that point because, well, they're not there anymore. They're not there on that day. And it'll also help with selecting that randomizer, selecting a random student, and even creating those groups. So definitely take attendance if that's going to help you with utilizing your Class Dojo tools. So back to here. So let's just take attendance. We're going to say Alma's not here, Zoe, and Justin. And as you can see here, when I click on, sorry, let me just remove my controls, save attendance, it's going to go ahead and gray them out. So now, again, as I mentioned, if you give points to these guys, these people who are not there are not going to get that point. Okay, when you click on options and view reports, this is where you could see all that history that you just made with those points. You could see the whole class, so it's going to show you the donut of how many positive points were given or, needs work if they're being used, but just how many points were given right here. So I've given 251 this week and 3 neutral points this week. Definitely look at the history here. You could choose today, yesterday, a custom date range, maybe you do monthly certificates, whatever it may be, choose that history type. So right here, you could see all the points that I just gave today. It's going to show you what time, which teacher, and even what point. And if you left notes, so let's click on Abraham. I picked on him a lot. We could see here that we redeemed points from Abraham. We gave him some more points. And we also left notes for the families to see if you're sharing this with the families. You could also print this out if needed, maybe for parent-teacher conferences. And if you do decide to take attendance using Class Dojo as well, when you click on attendance rather than that donut section, you will see the attendance that you've marked. And you could always go back in time and adjust that attendance if needed, or record it right here. So yeah, the reporting is really great. You could find trends and focus on individual students if needed. And you could also view it as a spreadsheet instead of this view. So again, it's going to show you all those great details that you may need for that data tracking. How often does this happen in the classroom? What time? Why? Okay, so those are reports. Now, oh, let me just show you right here too. Or it's this one, sorry. Right here is how the spreadsheet will look, just as an example of when you download that spreadsheet. So another time for your time to, shine or just simply reflect. Have you used students' reports? Did you even know about student reports? Because I know I didn't. And how could you imagine yourself using these reports? Will you use them at all? How about attendance? Just think of those creative ways that you could use Class Dojo. Again, there's so much to Class Dojo just in your classroom alone. Now, another thing that we are really known for is the communication piece, that two-way communication. So you could communicate with your parents who are connected through chats or even sending class-wide announcements. So let's go back to Class Dojo and click on chats here. Any parents who are connected to your classroom will pop up here in the chats. And as soon as they're connected, they are able to message you at any time of the day. So we always say balance is best. You have a setting in your account settings here. You click on your profile picture, click on account settings, and click on chats. Right here, I highly recommend you creating your quiet hours just so that you won't be notified in case a parent sends you a message like, in the PM and it's your day off, it's the weekend, mute your weekend notifications, but please adjust those again so you won't be notified. But I know some teachers will check either way, but at least you won't be notified if you don't want to be bothered by, see or messages being sent to you so late. All right. Now, here in the chats, you could see all the parents that are connected. You could click on that parent, start messaging them. Any of the text that you input here in the chats can be translated over 130 languages. So if you even, type that message in English, they have the access to click on translate, and it's going to translate in that language that they, selected. Whenever you are typing a message, you could also send now, or even schedule this message ahead of time. Choose a custom time. When is this going to go out? Maybe you're doing late work and you want to send it in the morning. But hopefully you're not doing late work and hopefully you're enjoying, your time at home. And another way to, message the families, in case you don't see them here in your history, is clicking on this purple pencil. Type in that parent's name, and then from there you will see that parent pop up and you can message them. Another thing you could do is create different groups. So maybe it's two family members who are not, or both downloaded Class Dojo, but you want them in a group message to let them know about how their child is doing. You could definitely create that group chat. You could also message your teachers and staff who are co-teachers in case you want to let them know of something. And one of my favorites here is the mass messaging. So let's say you want to send a permission slip to all of the families, but you don't want to create a whole group chat where everybody could see each other's responses and, just being able to respond to everyone. When you click on mass message, it's going to send that same information to all parents, but it's going to create it as an individual message. So once they respond, it's just going to you and nobody else. So again, great for those field trip forms if needed. Another thing you do have is where this megaphone is, you have classroom announcements. I'm telling y'all, there's so much to Class Dojo. So here in the classroom announcements, what this does is it's going to send a message to all of your families connected to your classroom as a direct message, but they're not able to respond to this. So really good for updates, maybe a reminder, remember to bring your child's water bottle to school, or no school tomorrow, buses are running late, we'll keep you updated. Any immediate message that doesn't require a response, go ahead and put it as an announcement instead. All right. And as I mentioned before, anything that you do text, whether it's a message, a class story, that can be translated by the families. And again, balance is best, so please set up your quiet hours. Now, another way to communicate is using your class story. So not only can parents see the class story, but your teachers could see it if they're co-teachers in the classroom, and your students, if they log into their account, they could see your class story as well. So here in Class Story, think of it as like your personal classroom social media feed, where they could easily just scroll, see past photos of what you've worked on. So it's just a great place to, I often hear teachers say it's like a window to their classroom, right? So parents, if they're not able to go and participate, they could at least see these photos and say, hey, my child was reading today, how beautiful. That's what they're gonna say. And yeah, you could just give them those updates. So you can see here, parent did translate this. You are able to see who viewed this message, the comments if they left any, and you could also view the translation and which parent translated. And when you hover over that world icon, it'll tell you in what language. So this is really good to keep an eye out for any like future resources outside of Class Dojo. All right. Parents are able to like and comment on these posts. If you maybe commenting doesn't work out for your classroom, this could be disabled in your classroom settings. You could also create different events, and we're going to get into that right now. You could also put up to 20 photos per post, an 8-minute video, and different file attachments like a PDF, a Word document. And here is where you would enter this text. And like the announcements that we were talking before, you could also schedule these posts ahead of time. For this, you could go up to 6 months in advance. So maybe you have a flyer of something that's going on in February already. Go ahead and choose a date of when you want this posted, the time, and you could schedule that post. You could also insert links here too in case you need to send them outside of Class Dojo. And this is Sidekick, which I'll explain pretty soon. It's our own AI. Now, when you click on event, that is going to transfer you right here to your calendar events. So these are a little separate from those class story posts. So this is really great for calendar events such as no school tomorrow, or tomorrow is our book fair, tomorrow is our, art day, since we have these paints right here. You could title it, put your description, the date, the time, or is this happening all day? And you could also set different reminders of when your parents get notified. The day of, 5 days, 1 day, or an hour before. And then one new feature we do have is sign up. So this is very new. You could go ahead and click on add spot, maybe you're asking for volunteers for your classroom. And you want this volunteer to focus on, I'm thinking pre-K, so let's just say the paint center, and you want a couple of those there. You could change these emojis. Oh, I don't think paint is going to pop out. I'll just put a world. You could change those emojis if needed. When you click on create, as you can see here, 2 spots were created. You could add more, name it differently if needed, change that emoji. But once this is saved, that's when families are able to come in, click, and sign up. So think about this for parent-teacher conferences, but of course, add your details here of, conference, this will happen from 8 to 8:30 a.m., and then you could put those times. So let's just look at past event that I had here. I had Read with a Loved One Day, where I'm inviting families to come and read to their children. And you can see who signed up and their name and what they signed up for. You could print this out too if you needed it for, physical documentation as well. And you could also have parents comment here as well. Okay, so those are events. Or yeah, calendar events. So use those events to, just inform of upcoming things for your classroom. You could also do these school-wide in case you have some school-wide information to share. And yes, that's, calendar events and signups. Now the next thing is, let's go click back to our classroom and see the other tools. Another thing you do have access to is right here, Big Ideas, where you see this little light bulb. When you click on Big Ideas, right here, it's going to lead you to this page in Class Dojo. So right here is, let me go here, back to my slides. I'm telling you, I always go back and forth. So this is a great place to, look at different videos, growth mindset, or even building, those character lessons that you may do in your classroom. So when I go into Big Ideas, you could see the different types of topics here. Whatever it may be, let's go into growth mindset. These are the videos that are available here. You could click on them, see what this is about, start the activity, and the videos will also come with a discussion guide. So this is really good to use in the classroom, especially if your students are needing to learn these specific, skills. And again, that is Big Ideas right here in the bottom. Now, Dojo Islands, let's get into that. You may have heard about this before. Dojo Islands is a great place to allow your students to log in and to play, a game together, but it is educational. It could be educational. So when you click here above where it says Dojo Islands, right here, we're in that Halloween mode. There are different activities if you scroll down. So you could, this is a specific Halloween one. You could click on Start Playing or load the activities. It'll tell you the recommended grade level for these activities. And these will also come with worksheets and I believe a discussion guide as well. Whenever you click on this, it's going to upload this activity for your students to work on. And another plus is you are able to join in as a teacher too. So maybe they are building a spooky neighborhood here. So trick or treat, you could join this world and start building that spooky neighborhood with them. And let's go ahead and see. This is where those invitations come earlier that we talked about, inviting those students, that QR code or that text code to invite them in. But that is what Dojo Island is. If this is something you don't want them to have access or maybe specific times, you could go into your classroom settings and adjust that as well. And let me just show you really quick. Options, edit class, and these are the settings I'm talking about with the comments, Dojo Islands, and much more. Okay. Now, and again, the other reason for students to be able to log into their accounts is to access portfolios. So this is a great place to upload your students' work. Maybe take a picture of their artwork or maybe of their writing. Maybe you're working on poems. You could take a picture of those, upload them to that specific student's portfolio, and then parents would be able to see what they're working on in the classroom. So right to the classroom again. And then below where it says portfolios is where you would upload these posts. So you could click on add post, choose that student you're focusing on, and either add that photo, a file, or a little note about that student. Maybe the student had an amazing day, or maybe the student, struggled with a certain something. You could go ahead and write that note too. Another thing in portfolios that you could create are activities. So we do have some activities here for you, or you could just create your own. Click on Create Activity, title it, put the instructions. You could choose if this is going to specific students or maybe the whole classroom. And you could also choose your response type. Are they going to text this back, video record something, submit a photo? Luckily, whatever they are, submitting, you are able to approve or send it back as a draft or just erase it. And you could also upload worksheets for them to work on. Here's an example of this one where I put a simple, activity for my pre-K students, and they responded, with the help of a parent. And yeah, I was able to comment on it if needed and even approve the post. Okay, so let's go back to the classroom and let's jump up to these menus really quick. These are school-wide if you're on the laptop. Story, calendar, this is both school-wide, so please make sure whether it's on the phone or in your classroom, let's say you're in calendar here, this is going to send to your whole school, not just to your classroom. So if it's a calendar or story that you want for your classroom, again, make sure you're in that classroom that you are leading and then post a calendar or a class story here. But the thing I want to focus on is Sidekick. I mentioned it slightly before, but this is very new. It's our own AI. So if you need help with any of these categories, whether it's creating a message, creating a story post, whatever it may be, click on that, answer the prompts, those questions. And when you click on generate, it's going to think about it and create it for you. So let's just look at my history just to show you how simple it is to create one. So back to school excitement. All I said was, what's the post about? Welcome students and parents back to school. Must include, they bring water bottle, a blanket, a backpack. And it created this awesome post for me. I could say to make it longer, make it shorter, or in this case, I put mention school starts at 8, and bam, it created it for me. This won't send to anybody just yet. It's there for you to customize further, and then once it's to your liking, copy and paste it to wherever you're sending it to. And this is available for all teachers or all staff members who have Class Dojo. Okay, so highly recommend that for those messages in case you need to send a message quickly. And when you are creating a post in your story or the school-wide story or in your classroom story, boop, boop, and then go here really quick. Whenever you start typing like this, you will see these stars, and it's going to rewrite it with Sidekick. So it's just going to make that post for you if you choose to click here. Okay, so that is Sidekick. Back to that left side menu on the desktop at least, you also have school-wide behavior, school-wide points. This is up to the school if you guys are using this, but please know that admin are the ones to create these and even redeem these points once points are being given. But school-wide points is separate from your classroom points. These are points that every staff member in your school is able to give to any of the students in your classroom, or not your classroom, in your school. So if you bump into a student in the hallway, they're outside of your grade level, but let's say you're working on being respectful as a school-wide point, you could look for that child's name, give them that respectful point, and there, that student just earned a school-wide point. Up to you what you'd want to use as the incentives, a school store, maybe a certain amount grants you to a field trip, but a great way to keep everybody on one page on school-wide values that you're working towards. Now, these are different examples of rewards. You could have rewards for the younger students, like holding a fidget, a special pencil, treasure box. And for the older students, I know we're not in middle school and high school, but just in case you have those fifth graders or fourth graders that want better, older incentives, maybe these are some ideas, class DJ, they could choose their favorite song in the classroom. But yes, here are just some ideas that you're going to have access to as well. And speaking of all these points, this is how you access this. So you might see it when you click on give points on the phone, it'll look a little different. But right here on the computer, when you click on points here, this is the school-wide points. So the only thing you are able to do is click on give points, choose that student. You could type in their name. It might be the fastest way to find them. And then give them that point that they've earned. Abraham was very respectful, so I gave him that point. That's how easy it is to give these points. And then from there, your admin could redeem those points. But back to these. So let's go over just some 4 pillars of success for the points and everything that aligns with PBIS. So this could be for your classroom or school-wide points too, or both. But one thing we do recommend is to clearly define your positive behaviors. Maybe don't be like my classroom where I have like 20 points. That's going to be a lot for them to keep up with. Maybe start with 2, 4, and then from there, you could add more or even rotate those points if needed. So make sure they know, what you're wanting or expecting. From there, you could teach these positive behaviors explicitly as well. And you could also use this for the those character lessons that I mentioned before. So you could align them with these videos and just teach them these real world examples of these skills that you guys are learning. So teach those positive behaviors explicitly. And here are some next day mojo moves for that. So start your day with that big ideas video. You could also send a video home for them to reflect on, whatever it may be. And then the third thing to do is reinforce that positive behavior consistently. Don't be like, okay, I'm going to use points today and then never use them again. So if you see that student being respectful or responsible, give that point when you can, but give that point so that they could know that their family sees it at home and you could just reinforce that behavior. And then the next thing is redirecting the behavior with intention. So again, this is a great way to use those neutral points so that those students could really, or whenever you have a discussion with them or the parents, just a great way to work on those skills that they are struggling with. So just a great way to redirect rather than, take something away. All right. I know there's so much to Class Dojo. Again, highly encourage you to explore it because there are some things I didn't even go over. There's teacher resources and so much more. But this is my time to take any questions. If you have any, you could insert in the chat. And then, yeah, if you have a person who's a champion in Class Dojo, an expert, please have them apply to be a mentor if they're not already. You also have your own Facebook community that you could join. And these are some helpful links in case you need any support with Class Dojo, and you'll get a copy of these slides as well. But thank you so much for your time. If you could scan this QR code whenever you can, or click on that link to do a survey, that would be perfect. Thank you, guys.
Brianna, I have a quick question. We didn't have any in the chat, but I am assuming, because you mentioned it once, that this works great on a mobile phone for a teacher.
Yes. Yes, it
That's
does.
just how
So
handy that would be as I'm walking down the hall with my kids and I'm reinforcing a positive skill.
exactly. So you could definitely download the app as well, log into Class Dojo, and then from there, you could easily communicate with your families through here. The phone version is really good for that communication piece and to give points, whether it's in your classroom or those school-wide points that you're giving.
Okay, that's amazing. All right. And Ashley, I will let you start closing us out and I will share our last screen.
Perfect. First of all, Brianna, thank you so much for helping us today, teaching our teachers all the amazing things that Class Dojo has to offer. I used Class Dojo for years in the classroom, and I did not have the knowledge of half of these tools that are included in your program. So thank you so much. We super appreciate it. Also, teachers, we know you are busy, but thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And if you could not make it live, we will have this recording for you. Also, I just wanted to point out before we end, if you go to our KIC site, it's kellerisd.net /KIC. It will have a button for you to click for Class Dojo with some helpful tips if you're having any troubleshooting issues. And you can always reach out to our EdTech team at edtech@ksd.net or any of our social media sites.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us today. We appreciate it, and we'll see you in November for our next Kickstart Your Learning.